Greetings to all my fellow watch enthusiasts on YouTube and Facebook and wherever else this video might be seen and shared. SaleenDriver once again, coming to you with another top 5 video. I've done several top 5 videos over these past few weeks, highlighting watches in my collection from various categories. And today we'll be looking at the top 5 watches that are quartz watches in my collection. Now, as you all know, there are multiple different types of movements out there. There's the old manual wind watches, which have been around for hundreds of years, it seems. You have to wind the watch every day or every 2 days or 3 days or however long the power reserve is. There's no automatic feature. There's no rotor internally. There's nothing to keep the watch energized except the twisting of your thumb and forefinger on a crown. There's also the automatic style watches, which are similar to the manual watches, in which in most cases, they can be hand wound with a few exceptions. But they also have a rotor inside, a weighted device, which picks up the movement of your wrist and arm and translates that movement via the rotation of the rotor into winding power for the watch. So theoretically, once you set an automatic watch, as long as you're wearing it or as long as the watch is kept moving, the watch is energized. And then we have watches like these, watches that are quartz watches. They are powered by some kind of battery or capacitor or something like that. Or they can be charged by the sun in some cases. And they drive a quartz oscillator, a quartz crystal oscillating at a certain frequency, which times the watch. They are highly accurate. They usually are accurate to within 5 to 15 seconds a month, instead of, conventional automatic is probably going to be accurate to within 5 to 10 seconds a day. These watches are highly accurate. They make great grab and go watches. Usually a good set and forget kind of thing. And I have a few. Everyone has a few quartz watches in their collection, and they are collectible watches, I would argue. And I think I have a good selection of them. But these are my top 5, plus an honorable mention that I will get to in a little while. My number 5 is this beautiful Casio Oceanus. Yeah, Oceanus. It's a titanium watch. It did come with a titanium strap, which I did not like, and I paired it with this blue Ishii mesh bracelet. You can set this watch manually, or you can download an app onto your phone and sync the phone with the watch itself, and it can set the day, the date, the time, etc. It has multiple functions, it's very similar in that respect to a Casio G-Shock. But you can see the calendar is there. You can see the 24-hour scale there. You have a second time zone down here at the 6 o'clock. Date function, of course. And using this pusher, you can cycle between different functions and track a second time zone, which is what this outer track is for. Very nice grab and go watch. And it can double as a kind of a dressier watch if you wanted to. Coming in at number 4 is one of my Breitling quartz watches. This is a Breitling Colt. I saw this watch and just fell in love with it. And, oh, by the way, All these watches have individual, highly detailed videos on my channel. So if you see a watch you like and you want to learn more than this very brief overview, you can go find the video for these watches and get particulars and deep dive into it there. But this is a very nice grab and go sport watch. Could be a dive watch. It has the dive style bezel with these overriders every 15 minutes. It does have the depth rating at 200 meters to be a dive watch. I love the polish of the case, the slightly satiny finish of the bezel, and back that up with the silver white watch dial. It's just a beautiful watch. Great pickup for me, I believe. Coming in number 3 is another Breitling. This is a Breitling Endurance Pro. There are many different versions of this watch, many different colorways. There's a white one, a red one, blue one, black one. This is the orange one, which I picked out for obvious reasons. It does come with a very bright orange Breitling strap. I've been switching that strap out with this blue one lately. I've been alternating. This one is from Rishi, who I've reviewed their straps before and have become a big fan of these Rishi rubber silicone straps. They feel great. They're smooth. They're not sticky. They don't stink. Not a paid bump for these guys or for Ishii for the metal mesh. I just love the straps and the bracelets, and I make sure I say so all the time. Very nice chronograph. It is a super quartz. That's why these watches are over $3,000. This is a super quartz. They've actually gone through the COSC or COSC certification to certify these watches as chronometers, not just conventional chronographs, which you can see here. You have tenth of a second, you have second, you have a constant running second here at the 6 o'clock, and you have chronograph hours there. And as a chronograph, this is fantastic. As a sports watch, as a quartz watch, it's made out of what they call bright light, which is a composite, a polymer composite. This watch is incredibly lightweight. It makes this titanium watch feel heavy by comparison. Big numbers, big dials, big hands, very easy to read. Great sports watch. Love that watch. It was a great pickup for me. Next, I have a bit of an unusual watch that I just recently picked up. This is the Seiko SUN065 Kinetic. The first and only kinetic quartz watch in my collection. Now, a kinetic watch does things a little differently. Watches like these, well, this watch is a charged watch. It's a solar charge. Watches like all these are battery watches. This one has a chargeable capacitor. And you can charge it a couple of different ways. Mostly you charge this watch by wearing it. It does have a rotor in the watch. And by wearing it, you spin the rotor and you charge the capacitor, which runs the quartz movement. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on a winder like a conventional rotor watch. So you put this thing on a winder, it's not going to want to know what to do with itself. However, there are, if you look on the interwebs and you look on the forums for these watches, there are different ways to use induction chargers to charge these watches by laying them on the induction. But I think one of the best ways for this particular one with the 5M85 movement is they say you can use an old Braun toothbrush charger stand to charge this watch. And I tried that. I picked one up on eBay for like $15. And it did work, kinda. But I did end up picking up one of the Seiko induction chargers that they only sold, ostensibly, they only sold to watchmakers and jewelers. And that's made specifically to charge Seiko kinetic induction, kinetic movements via their induction charger. And that one works beautifully well. You have this extra pusher here, which when the second hand comes to 12 o'clock, you can push that and it will rotate the second hand to various points on the dial to give you an indication of how much charge is left on the watch capacitor. Other than that, it acts like a typical Quartz watch. It's very accurate. It's also a GMT. It's also a Paddy diver, because this case is basically a tuna case. And you can see, even though it's incredibly hard to turn, because reasons, it is a dive watch, but you can only grab it up here because of the protective shroud on the case. It is very, very hard to turn. But it doesn't line up very well. I did pair it with this mesh bracelet that I found on Amazon. I liked it better than the silicone strap that came with it. Seiko silicone straps are not my favorite. It also worked really well on an FKM silicone strap that I had on it for a while until this showed up. But I like it best on this. So really interesting watch, the way it works. It's a big chunky sucker. Fantastic watch. But my number one Quartz watch in my entire collection has to be my Breitling Emergency. This is a first generation Emergency. There are actually two generations of Emergency. There's a big difference between them. Even though they might look similar, the first generation Emergency only monitors one frequency, only transmits on one frequency. And perhaps I should explain that. These watches were originally created for pilots and other folks that do a lot of exploring, and they go to remote regions of the world. And they might get in trouble. They might get hurt. They might be in need of rescue. And there is a frequency that is still active today, as far as I know. You can see it on the watch dial. It's 121.5 megahertz. This is the analog version. Now, the Emergency Gen 2, which I hope to pick one up someday, not only transmits on 121.5 megahertz, but also transmits on the digital 400 some odd emergency channel, which is in use today. It's the more modern channel. And it does that by means of this antenna. You unscrew this crown. Believe me, I am not unscrewing this crown. That is a hefty, hefty fine and possibly jail if you set one of these things off and it's a false alarm. Plus, you have to send the watch back to Breitling for a complete rebuild. But if you unscrew this big crown and unscrew this crown, and then for additional signal strength, you unscrew this crown, you pull laterally and laterally and laterally. A big wire is wrapped up in there. That's why this watch is so bloody thick, is because of the wire and the module. Once you activate it, it transmits an emergency signal for up to 48 hours, depending on the battery strength. It transmits an emergency signal on, in this case, only 121.5 megahertz. And hopefully somebody is monitoring that frequency at an emergency station somewhere on Earth, and they will alert the authorities nearest you to come and get you. Now, the instruction book goes into, best ways to put the watch for maximum effect and this and that and the other thing, but that's generally how the emergency works. And not only is that a cool feature, and when I travel, I absolutely will bring this watch with me just because, but the watch looks cool as well. It's an analog digital watch that has a typical analog face with the hands, but if you use the crown, you can activate different functions of the watch: a second time zone, an alarm, a chronograph. You can display the day and the date and the running seconds all on here on this display. This display simply tells you what function you're using. And it's just a cool looking watch. It really is. It's also a compass. Bidirectional compass bezel. Now my honorable mention is, and it's all titanium by the way, my honorable mention is the first Breitling I ever bought. Breitling Aerospace. I just love it. It's very similar to this one in the way it displays time and chronograph and alarm and second time zone and the date and the day and the running seconds, all done with the crown here. By the way, this watch and this watch are also super quartz. So they are chronometers. They are COSC certified. But I had to mention this one because not only is it a great quartz watch and it's very similar in function to the emergency, but it's also the first Breitling I ever bought, and it's a fantastic quartz watch. All titanium, of course, and it works beautifully. I've had no problems with this watch at all, other than changing the battery one time. I changed the battery on this one. That was an adventure. This watch actually has two different modules sandwiched together and two different battery sets. So while you're in there changing the watch battery died on this watch, or was dying. So while I'm in there changing the watch battery, I also changed the batteries on two batteries on the emergency transmitter. So that's it. That is my top 6. Top 5 with the honorable mention to the aerospace. My top 6 quartz watches in my collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it to be entertaining, informative, educational. If you did, I would appreciate a thumbs up. That does help with the YouTube search algorithms and does bring people to the channel, and I am all about that. Comments, questions, suggestions down below. I do read them all. I do respond to them all. However, if you are going to try to troll me or you are going to leave links to bad places on the internet, I will simply delete the comment and block the commenter. If you're new to the channel, of course, I do welcome you. I am glad you're here. I am glad you found my channel. I hope you will take the time to not only watch this video, but one or many more of the hundreds of videos I have on my channel. All I ask in return is that at the bottom of the view window, there is that red subscribe button. Please click it. And when you do that, don't forget to click the bell icon too, so when I upload new videos or do a live stream, you are alerted to this. As I say at the end of all my videos, it is a crazy old world out there. It is not getting any less crazy. So I ask all my friends, subscribers, everyone, please be careful out there. Be safe, be well. I'll see you soon.